Hello again. We are Chris Lee, Max Barr, and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 here to preview Auburn's matchup as the 4. You know my thoughts on Auburn as a 4. Criminal what the NCAA did to the Tigers. And part of that is you get a 12. And by the way, got a good 12 in Yale. We'll get into Eli's in just a minute. Before we do, by the way, this game tips off at 3 Central on Friday. A reminder, our channel brought to you by BetOnline. The tournament is here. BetOnline is your bracket headquarters for this season with the best bracket contest out there. Odds, lines, info on every game, every round up until the national championship. You can access the most up-to-the-minute wagering information anytime from your desktop or mobile devices. You can track your bracket real-time all the way through the tournament. Head to BetOnline today. Get in on all the action. Remember to use the promo code BELIEVE for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Well, gentlemen, we've established that conference tournament weekends do not matter to the NCAA committee. Didn't matter in its seating with Auburn, which was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, what they did in that East bracket. But tell you where it does matter. That's us. We saw Auburn play last week, and my goodness, that team was impressive, Max.
Oh, they looked phenomenal. I was so impressed with Broom's interior defense. Like, I always knew it was really good, but like seeing it right there, how he just, like, someone would drive on him 2 times, he would deny both of them, and then they don't drive on him for the next 38 minutes of the game. He just controls everything. But we do have a great matchup here. I know Blake's gonna touch on the Ivy League success in March. I always like to pick an Ivy upset, but I don't know maybe about this time. A few things I'm looking at here. This shout out to the 3-man weave, Jim Root, Matty Cox, Kai. They all do a great job over there. And crazy stat that they found. Yale has only played 5 teams all year that rank in the top 100 in defensive turnover rate, forcing turnovers. Okay, they've only played 5 teams. 3 of them are Cornell. The other 2 are Fairfield and Weber State, and they lost to both of them. Okay, Auburn, top 3 in the SEC in forcing turnovers, top 100 nationally. So they have not seen anything even near the pressure of the Auburn defense and their perimeter physicality. Another thing I'm looking at, Yale's got an injury. Casey Simmons, Northwestern transfer, 7th man, plays about 15 minutes a game. I don't know him all that well, but from the research I did, he was being called one of their best perimeter defenders, a big defensive boost off the bench. He was the highest recruit in Northwestern history, 4-star. So in the Ivy League, that's loads of talent. Went out against Cornell in the Ivy League tournament and then was out versus Brown. I couldn't find anything on the injury, but he's out. And that's important because Yale is 322nd nationally in bench minutes. They do not have a bench. And now they have the 7th man's out, 15 minutes a game. Auburn's 8th. We know how Auburn's bench is, 8th nationally, one of the best benches in the country. Those are kind of the top 2 things that are jumping out at me. It's going to be Yale's inability to deal with the Auburn pressure defensively, and then the bench is just going to be super skewed.
Yeah, I mean, the Ivy League, when you look at the numbers, okay? So if we want to just, from the start here, we want to worry Auburn fans a little bit. Like, we just want to put a little scare into them. Here's what should scare you. Is the Action Network, so many great stats. You've heard me point them out on all these videos we've done because they got a lot of these just little nuggets of information that I just seem to love. But this is just pure facts. Like, this isn't this is an opinion, right? The Ivy League has 7 upsets since 2010 for a team seeded 12 or lower. So, I mean, we are talking double-digit underdog kings in the NCAA tournament the Ivy League has been over the past little bit here. And again, what's the theme and the way some of these teams like to play? They usually take care of the ball. Shot selection, we always talk about for teams. I think that's something that is not tracked, but boy, do I wish you could just track away and just say, how do you identify what's a good shot and what's not a good shot? Because I would be willing to think that a lot of these Ivy League teams, they take good shots because they run good offense. And I think some of these coaches that you look at that have had some of these upsets, whether it's last year with Mitch Henderson, obviously what James Jones has done At Yale, they have just consistently been very good. And so, yeah, like they've got a formula that works. And I think that's something where Auburn, is definitely going to have to play the way they need to play to win this game and not play the way that, Yale probably wants to play to win this game. Because look, this team's ranked, and we know Ken Pom's not the end-all be-all, but we just look at the numbers, right? This is number 84th team, in there. Like, they're not a bad team at all. And so, like we said, that's almost why you can get even more frustrated at the draw, is because it feels like Auburn shouldn't be playing a team like Yale, but they are. And the one thing Max pointed out was the one that I have circled the most. You want to talk about a discrepancy in depth here from one side to the other. Auburn is maybe the deepest team in the country in turn. We've said it all year. Yale right now is not that. And so if Auburn can be physical, if they can attack, which is what Auburn does, as long as they don't settle for bad threes, which is the one thing I picked on this team about earlier in the season, and you heard Bruce Pearl talk about it earlier in the season, as long as they just attack, they're going to be fine here.
Some stuff on Yale. I know the bench minutes have been talked about. I think maybe that and the Simmons injury could be a little bit overrated. Simmons was maybe their 7th or 8th best player. And looking at some stats I've got in front of me, I'm going to give you a summation. This is a team, guys. They had, I do per 70 possession stats. This team had 6 guys averaging between about 15 and 20 points per 70 minutes. It's smart. I'm going to give you some assist to turnover ratios. Their point guard, Biz and Bang. You guys have the pronunciation for me.
And
I'm not even going to. And Bang. The Bang is in, yeah, he can hit threes. Although doesn't hit too many of those. He only hit 30. 131 assists, 54 turnovers. That's excellent. August Mahoney, 80 assists, 28 turnovers. 43 to 20. Still 2-1. John Polidikis, 59 assists, 27 turnovers. Matt Noling, 68 assists, 23 turnovers. Danny Wolf, 68 assists, 70 turnovers. That's not all for a big man. They got a bunch of guys who are pretty good shooters, effective field goal percentage. For about 4 of these guys that are regulars, north of 52%. That's good. Not an outstanding free throw shooting team. You'd think they'd be a little better. But point is, they can beat you a lot of ways from not a lot of places. There's not one thing or one person that stands out. And I do worry about Auburn. Auburn plays with an edge, and I think that's what fuels this team. But sometimes you see that edge spill over into stupid technical fouls and things like that. That's a little bit of a concern. Auburn's going to have to keep its cool in this game.
I don't think we can use that as a like. Does that really concern you, like in this game?
A little bit.
I doubt it, but what if, Look, I will cut to the chase. I think Auburn's going to win this game. I'm going to pick Auburn to win this game. I'm going to pick Auburn to win multiple games in the tournament. But a lot of people have circled this as a potential upset. You just talked about the Ivy League doing some things in the tournament. This has been known to happen.
Well, yeah.
So a few more things that I'm looking at. And while Casey Simmons wasn't maybe one of their best players, one of their better players, even starters, still was 15 minutes a game. And you look at the 2 games against Cornell and Brown for Yale in that Ivy tournament. Against Brown, they only played 7 guys, and Bang played all 40 minutes. They had 3 other guys play 34 plus. So that's an inherent disadvantage against a deep team like Auburn. Some more stuff that I'm looking at, though. Auburn's weakness defensively is their foul rate. They put teams on the line a lot. And part of it is they can because they have a platoon subbing thing where they can afford guys to get into foul trouble. But Yale does not get to the line at all. 332nd in free throw rate. So Auburn's biggest weakness defensively won't be taken advantage of here. And another thing, Yale has the lowest 3-point rate in the Ivy. They barely shoot threes. And what did we just see in the SEC tournament when a team that doesn't shoot a lot of threes plays Auburn?
So
You
you're
got to
telling
go
me a team's
inside.
going to try to challenge Janai Broom inside. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah. You're going to have to do all the listen to these point distribution on a national scale, the amount of points they get. 201st from 3, 59th from 2, 337th from free throws. They don't get points from free throws. They don't get points from 2. They do damage inside. Good luck doing that on Janai Broom. Good luck. I'm going Auburn here. I like them against the spread too. I know Yale is Ivy League, all this and that. Go back and watch those South Carolina games against Auburn and tell me how Yale's going to get anything inside on Janai Broom.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things here too is this is one of those games where, like, if Auburn comes out hot early, I worry about how Yale finds their way back into the game based on how they want to play. And I mean, and also apologies to John Polikitis, who we want to make sure we get his name right because Chris just completely butchered it earlier. But he doesn't have the pronunciation guide in front of him. We do. So
I don't.
just want to make sure we get that because that could be something too. You know, Yale pulls the upset here. We're coming back, and the reason why is because they got pissed off at Chris mispronouncing the name. But yeah, I mean, I'm picking Auburn too. I don't think that's much of a surprise for anybody, but I think it's one of those games where, to me, this is one where the more I look at it, the more I like the matchup on paper for Auburn, maybe more so than I did after first glance. And I think it's just because it does seem like there are ways where, and I mentioned this is all going to be in the approach, but if there's anybody that has done a great job of getting his teams prepared for the postseason, right now, look how well Auburn did from a game planning standpoint against the teams they played in the SEC tournament and how well they put it together back to back to back. They stuck to the plan. How many times were we all sitting there saying, man, Auburn's just taking terrible shots, or Auburn should be doing this instead of that? We didn't really say that very much. Like, it seemed like they were very, hey, here's the game plan. We're going to execute it. We're going to take care of business. But at the same time, that's exactly the way Yale's going to be because that's, you know, the preparation. They're not going to beat themselves. We said team's going to take care of the ball. But I think with the way Auburn likes to play, it is my biggest question here is Yale scoring the ball. It's that is trying to figure out, as you said, Max, how they're going to be able to get offense going consistently. Good offensive team, but Auburn is a different animal. And the reason why is because they're one of the best defensive teams in the country. And I think just their ability to affect shots, whether it's a block, whether it's Dylan Cardwell coming in and just bumping people around, whatever you want to do. I just think Auburn's defense is its strength. And if their guards are playing well, which we have certainly at times said, hey, their guard play needs to be a bit more consistent. But that's where I think a Trey Donaldson stepping up, guys like that. Denver Jones had how many big shots did he hit in the SEC tournament? A ton. Chad Baker-Mazar is playing well. Jalen Williams playing well. Keep going down the line. What I love about this team is that they all play their role. Like, they all have a role. There are different strengths, and it seems like they are hitting their stride now, which is exactly what you want to be doing. So, tough matchup, I think, even, you know, because, again, Yale's a good team, but if we see the same Auburn team we saw in Nashville, they're going to win this game.
Final thoughts.
Watch the game. Watch Southeastern 14.
We've all made our picks.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching us here at Southeastern 14. We'll recap it later. For Max Barr, Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. Thanks for watching Southeastern 14 presented by Bet Online.